What is it about weeknight football in the ACC? No matter the circumstances, no matter the context, no matter the lead-in, it's always a game like this, and often for Florida State, too often for Florida State in its history, Florida State comes up short. That's what happens tonight as the Seminoles lost in 2 overtimes. A house of horrors for Florida State 30 years ago in 1995 adds one more nightmare tonight, 46-38. Virginia is the final. He's Gene Williams, founder, administrator of Warchant.com. My name is Tom Lang. You're watching the Warchant Game Day Postgame Call-In show built by TSpark Enterprises on a night that Florida State falls to 3-1, 0-1 in the ACC. And Gene, we could probably point to 3 or 4 dozen things, plays, moments, instances, stories of the game that allowed for Florida State to be in a moment like this, and they all added up. And unfortunately, far too often here we are in a weeknight, and Florida State comes up short in a road game in the ACC. Your thoughts, good sir?
I mean, it obviously comes down to defense. Look, the offense didn't have its best game because they had a couple turnovers, a couple missed opportunities. But at the end of the day, man, you put up 35 points. I mean, you're going to win this. 38 points, you're going to win the game usually. But I mean, I was shocked. I mean, what we saw on that defensive side, especially the fact they got manhandled in the line of scrimmage for most of the game. There were periods there where Virginia just kept gushing Florida State, and you knew when their quarterback, Chandler Morris, hurt his hand, and you knew they're going to run every single play, and they just kept running it, and you did not have an answer for it. And we talked about it a little bit before we got on the show, Tom. Every time it came a key third down or fourth down, it was either going to be a crossing route or they're going to do the zone read where the quarterback is going to run around the side. He scored 2 touchdowns doing that, and then picked up another key third down, I believe, late, doing that as well. And you, for whatever reason, you do that. So you were out physical on defense, and you were out coached, in my opinion, on defense. And all this talk about Tony White, he was schooled today, but also the guys in the trenches. And I don't understand how they can be so dominant against Alabama and then get pushed around against Virginia. Look, Virginia, I think, is a pretty good team, especially the offense. I think Chandler Morris is solid. Reminds me a little bit of Haynes King, a guy who can do a lot of things. He can run when he needs to. He's pretty good throwing the football, and he does a really good job reading the defense, throwing accurate passes, other than when he tried to throw it downfield a couple times, he got burned. But that's no excuse. You should not be manhandled by Virginia.
There's a lot of places that we can go, and we will go tonight on the Warchant Game Day Postgame Call-In show, and I'm sure y'all will as well out there. But, Gene, an upset like this begins with allowing there to be hope to fester and build, and momentum to fester and build. And Florida State's first quarter was atrocious. It was atrocious. You've got turnovers. You've got critical penalties. You've got a lack of situational awareness. And next thing you know, Virginia goes down the field and scores a couple of times. I mean, like, look, I suppose you can argue with the offensive pass interference call on Deuce Robinson a little bit, but that was just one of 3 critical penalties for 40 yards early in this football game. You give them a short field on the fumble. You turn the ball over with goal to go, which is essentially a 14-point swing on a deflected pass that, of course, it goes off the defender's head and follows him.
Pops right back up into his hands perfectly.
But these are all the things that need to happen. And if you expand it out, things like missing a field goal, things like, again, red zone issues, penalties.
The key drive I had, Tom, and I'm sorry to cut you off here, 21-14, you talked about that, but what I liked is they fought back. You took the lead. You felt pretty good. You had the momentum at 21-14. They're going down the field. The guy jumps the route, has it in his hands.
Yep.
Instead, it pops up into their hands, and it goes for a 30-yard gain. To me, that was the play that turned it, because that dude, they tied at 21-21. And Florida State really never got the momentum back after that play.
Well, and that was also the drive. So that play happens, and then the ball bounces. You get 2 deflections, and both of them bounce Virginia's way. I'm not calling Virginia lucky. What I'm saying is, for something like this to happen, you have to have bounces go this way. I think Florida State got one supremely lucky bounce in the flow of the game. You could call the prayer to Randy Pittman at the end lucky, and I would agree with you.
A hell of a throw, though. He put it on the spot.
He did, and it's an unbelievable catch. Like, that ball did not move as though it was just sitting on the ground or sitting on a table somewhere. That ball did not move. It's when Tommy runs the ball inside the 5-yard line and fumbles outside of the 2. And it doesn't go through the end zone for a touchdown.
Oh, yeah, that's
the bounce you got.
That was the one bounce, yeah.
But so many other moments, too. Poor tackling, Gene. That very drive that you're speaking of, where I think it's Jerry Wilson jumps the route and comes up empty. That same play, you've got Jerry gets back up and he tries to rip the football out instead of bringing a guy down. Florida State tackles extremely poorly for large stretches of this game. When their quarterback, Chandler Morris, gets his hand hurt and you know that they're just going to call run after run after run, you can't stop them in those situations. I mean, I think it all begins with allowing them to believe and feel good about themselves, and that's what the first quarter was about. You're right, Florida State does fight back from there, but the first quarter was so backwards, Gene, that the only thing they did well was return a punt. Like, that's what Florida State has been.
When Squirrel Wright actually returned a punt for positive yardage, I thought, I thought this was the Armageddon. This was the end. I mean, to see that.
And they also looked emotionally out of control in the first quarter, too.
They did. And, we talked about this, Tom, but I mean, the first time on the road, face a little bit of adversity, how would this team respond? We saw that it's a short week. It was a classic look ahead. Everything was going against them. These classic Thursday night, Friday night on the road ACC games that we've seen this rear its ugly head over and over again. And it sure did. And also not only the poor tackling time, especially in the first half, how many times did you see a guy overrun a defender, go flying in with no control and run right past the guy with the ball in his hands? And again, a lot of that is I think they were just too wound up in this game and didn't play under control.
Yeah, I think you got a mix of things going on with Florida State's defense. Schematically, there are some moments there where you're going, oh, my Lord, Tony White is being outcoached tonight. But then there are some moments where you're saying the guys are in a position to make a play. Bring the guy to the ground. The hell are you doing? Trust your training or stop crashing after
the touchdown run. They showed it over and over again was that Earl Little, and he just freaking put his shoulder in there and went to the ground. Like, okay, this isn't East Texas A&M Commerce. I mean, that guy's just going to fall down. You're playing a legitimate Power 5 team that you need to wrap them up.
There's also part of the things we talked about this week, specifically with Jamari Taylor, is if you are not in perfect position, he's not going to bail you out in a run. And that's what happened tonight. I feel like, to your point, Gene, I think the deflected pass that ends up coming back to Virginia is a key turning point because now you're going into half at 21-21. I mean, you don't have to allow them to score a touchdown after that, but Florida State certainly does. I just feel like that 14-point swing early where Castellanos gets the ball deflected on the flare out to Squirrel. I mean, that sets the stage. And then you get into the second half, and now you're moving the ball again, and you're feeling good about your running game. I mean, hell, at the half, Florida State has over 7 yards per play. The offense is absolutely moving up and down the field, just like we thought they would against Virginia. But in situations, they came up empty once in the red zone. You start the third quarter, you're moving the football. They're trusting Usman Kroma an awful lot, and he looked very good tonight, turning in at least 2 or 3 runs that were going to be stuffed into gains of 2 to 4 yards. And then he missed a friggin' field goal. I mean, it just all of the things that need to happen for a night like tonight to exist, to happen and piss you off, they all did in different points. And I'll tell you what, Gene, the last thing that sticks in my craw is in the first overtime, it's third down. They set up the screen perfectly, and Tommy misses the throw. That was a killer. That is
they bit.
They did.
Gus set that up, had him going one side. He threw it across. He seems to struggle a little bit getting that throw out to the sideline. The passes a couple times were low. They were not getting out there quick enough. He seems to struggle with that a little bit. But, I mean, down the field, Tommy was on target all night, made some great throws. But, yeah, those passes to the side, and that one was a key one, too, that he missed.
And then the deuce drop, obviously, in overtime number 2. And I think that was the correct call. I know people don't want to hear that.
It was.
Yeah, he's still securing the ball. Actually, the thing that pissed me off more, Gene, was the offsides call on Jabril Rawls and going the other way when Virginia had the ball. I'm not going to say it's a clear and obvious flinch, but look at the left guard. If anybody has the stomach to go back and watch this game again, I think that left guard flinches a little bit, and that hurts because it takes it from the 8-yard line to the 4.
Big, huge. Does it also piss you off that they put out their extra point team in the ACC, let them get away with it without running clock? What is that? This is it's not Florida State, so they get an exception to the rule here.
It's hurtful. It is really hurtful. Tonight's one of those, man. The way the offense moved the ball, I thought they did what I thought in my head they were going to do. And the defense just looked a little bit different today than it did against Alabama. And we were talking about it today on the JCS, Gene. There are a lot of sharps who were picking covers for Virginia and a couple upsets for Virginia. And I said, I'll respect that take if you believe that Virginia's offense is just better than Alabama's. Well, it looked better than Alabama's tonight, didn't it? My goodness.
Or, again, I still don't think it's better than Alabama's, but I think it's just confluence of circumstances happened. This whole thing, it's a perfect timing for them. They were up for the game. Florida State, again, look ahead, short week, first game on the road. And a couple, like you said, a couple of things happened early on that went their way, and it gave them that thing you don't want to give that home team when they're an underdog, and that's the momentum and hope. And they got that, and they wrote it. And when you have, again, I said with Haynes Kings, you got a quarterback who is pretty versatile, can do a lot of things. You keep him in a game like that, he's going to find a way, and he did find a way and he played a great game too. But yeah, ultimately it came down to me. Even the schematic stuff, the fact that you were dominated on the line of scrimmage on that side of the ball, that was shocking to me. It doesn't bode well for next week either. But again, I don't know how much of that is circumstance, because there's no way that's the same defensive front that played against Alabama. You're not going to tell me Virginia's offensive line is better than Alabama's.
No, their center didn't even play tonight. You thought that was, when that came down at 5:00 this evening, I thought, oh my Lord, okay, well, we're in business now. But the way that Miami offensive line has looked, especially the interior of it, that is problematic. And it's something that they're certainly going to have to clean up. If they admit to it, Gene, that there was any part of a look ahead involved in whatever happened, I'm going to throw something. Because you didn't play a real game for a month. They even installed stuff specifically for Virginia during the bye week. The coaches said that they did that. So how the hell are you not prepared for this? And the specific concept that just kills me, again, we talked about it all week, is mesh rail. Mesh rail. When in doubt, crossers with the rail route, which is also known as the wheel route, that's what they do. Dominic Robinson says this all the time. I love to look at people at third down and fourth down because they'll tell you who they are. That's who Virginia was. They did not have an answer for that tonight, not barely once. They called it. There was a play that was made to the left. Elijah Herring gets in on the pressure, and the quarterback has to flush left. This is either in the fourth quarter or overtime. It's still open. If it's not for the pressure, the thing is still wide the hell open. Thank God they got him off the spot. They had no answer for it, and that's, if a layman can see that, that's extremely frustrating that when they're able to run it on you. We are on the Warchant Game Day Postgame Call-In show. Usually when a loss like this happens late at night, y'all are filing in, and this is no exception. About 6,000 of you here across the multimedia footprint of warchant.com. Over 3,000. We know you hate the result. So do we. Hit the like button if you don't mind. Throw us a subscription. It's absolutely free on Warchant TV, and we will continue to break down this game. What we're going to do here to start, Director Nick Carlisle behind the scenes. Let's get some of the thoughts and contributions from our friends in the live chat right now. Brace yourself, Gene. Here we go. Never lose your nerd. Defense definitely got exposed, and the offense lost it with turnovers. We better come back and beat Miami next week, or the season is over. So sad. It's amazing how, this roller coaster, Gene. A month ago, we're looking for 8 or 9 wins. Then we're talking playoff. And I think it was rightful to be thinking about that.
Sure.
And now we're thinking, is season over if they're 3-2? I don't know. They're still way better than they were last year, but never lose your nerd is a great point. The defense was rough tonight. Let's see who is next.
Here we go.
Okay. Well, we appreciate the contribution, Florida man in Alabama. He says, I blame Cameron for this loss. He broke the superstition. First game without him at the game or at his 100-inch television. Yeah, he was at his son's football game tonight for Leon. Plus, the ACC refs and non-Saturday games can kiss a good man's ass. Maybe the boys will be more humble/hungry for next week. So say we all on the ACC non-Saturday games. It's just no matter what. There's no good reason to be on the Virginia side, I don't think, of the betting spread of 6.5 or 7.5. But sure as hell, Gene, it's going to be that way in the third or fourth quarter. I'm starting to get old enough to where I believe the historians of the game would say it doesn't matter. It's a weeknight game in the ACC. It's going to be close. Extremely frustrating.
Yeah, I could have been a rich man if I would bet against Florida State every time they played a Thursday night or a Friday night game. Throughout their history, it's unbelievable how rough these games are. But it just we knew it was coming, Tom.
Yeah.
But I still thought they were going to win the game, but I knew it was going to be competitive, and I knew it was going to be a different thing for this team to get over, and they did not, and things went UVA's way. So congratulations to them. But Florida State's got to get their crap together because it's going to get even bigger next weekend.
And you know what's going to happen. Virginia's already lost to NC State in a non-conference game. They're going to lose the game. You're going to like, what? They lost to William and Mary or some not. I mean, they already played them, but like you're going to lose a game where you go, are you kidding me? And it's going to bring down the profile of what Florida State has done all the more. Next up in terms of contributions will be, let's see who it is. Joshua. Appreciate you, Joshua. Brutal loss. Hate that officiating mucked things up at the end, but this is 100% on the Noles. Thank you for the qualifier there. Being emasculated by a backup O-line was not on my bingo card. Well, on to scum. Come on, Noles. Bounce back and give them hell. F Miami. F Miami.
Well said, Joshua.
I think that's a perfect comment there. Yes, there were some things that you hate, unlucky bounces, but it is 100% on the Noles.
Yeah. And the officials sucked. Did we get one holding call? I mean, I'm watching their all game. There must have been a dozen plays where I saw our guys being held, and they just refused to call that. I mean, they called the one, I think, on the white when it was white in the middle of the field. They had to call it on that one play. But other than that, I mean, it's been a dozen times. And that's been the biggest bugaboo with ACC officiating throughout the years. They just will not give Florida State those holding calls.
I think that was the drive that ended with the wheel route touchdown on the next play. Shaheem Brown found the block, and then he's trying to funnel the player back. I thought maybe he was trying to catch a block. He wasn't. He's trying to funnel
a great throw, though. I mean, it was. I give him credit on that one.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, Florida State did get called for a block in the back, too. I think that was Gunnar Hansen.
It was, yeah. It looked like he slipped and fell. It wasn't even but come on.
Sneak preview, Gene. I don't think the guards' grades for Florida State are going to be good tomorrow. There were plenty of moments where both Medley and his name is Richie Leonard were getting pushed into the backfield. And I got to tell you, 90 for Virginia probably will grade out pretty well. I didn't see that much of an impact against NC State's front from Virginia's front. Very, very frustrating. A couple more comments before we get a word from our sponsor and then turn it over to the phone lines. Director Nick, who you got for us? Oh. Okay.
This is new.
MJB.
Super stickers.
Oh,
wow. MJB.
Wow. Thank you.
He is dropping some bombs.
Three?
Three?
Oh,
or are you repeating that?
I think that's three. Holy cow. And he became a member of the channel as well. Warchant Premier. MJB. I got to tell you, he also contributed to a video earlier today, afterwards. So MJB, if you have a thought or a question, fire it away, my brother. Yeah, thank you very, very much. Gene, if you had to pin this on one segment of the defense that pissed you off more than any tonight, would it be the line, the linebackers, or the secondary? What you got?
Can I say the front seven?
Sure. I'll give you front six and modern.
I mean, they all work in concert together. I guess the defensive line, because I just didn't, that's supposed to be a strength. I didn't see the push up there. I mean, at times when Morris had to be, he's in the pocket. You didn't see they had one sack in the game, and it seemed like they had one pressure in the game the entire time. And the running backs always are getting, you talk about yards, how far they get until there's contact. It seemed like they were 2 or 3 yards a lot of times before the running backs were even getting touched by somebody on defense. So if I had to do that defensive line, extremely disappointing. And that's, again, not a good sign going forward. I don't know where that came from. Hopefully this was just a one-off. I don't know what was happening up there.
Numbers for Virginia on the ground. Jamari Taylor, 99 yards on 27 carries. It's under 4 yards a carry, but he was making impact plays. And when they needed to get a yard, a couple of the fourth down conversions, they got the yard. Florida State looked worse in that type of desperate situation, I thought, over the course of the full game. A couple of times Florida State picked it up in short yardage. But Florida State averages 5 yards per carry to Virginia's 4.4. In the end, Florida State yards per play, nobody cares about that, but it's 6.3, 5.2 for Virginia. Florida State had 500 total yards of offense in this game, but the situations killed them. The situations killed them tonight. Let's see. One more contribution from Director Nick. Give me one more. Noel Kev. Oh, hi, Noel Kev. How you doing? Not going to say season's over and all that, quote, all the coaches suck nonsense, especially with now a 4-1 Virginia team. They could end up this season a top 25 group, but also the defense gives up half 100. That's never going to work. Yeah, some of that's inflated by overtime. There's 11 points in overtime, but I take your point all the way, Noel Kev. This isn't a night to pack it in. I mean, let's pump the brakes a little bit. You're totally allowed to be pissed off, though. If you're mad, feel free. But this ain't.
If you win next week, nobody cares. I mean, you're sitting pretty. So again, I know that's a big say because Miami's really good, and what you saw is a little scary on the field tonight. But there's a long way to go in the season. So hold on there, Seminole fans.
We want to thank our title sponsor tonight, TSpark Enterprises. And here's something most folks don't think about. When you hire someone to work on your roof, are they actually part of the company or just a subcontractor? With TSpark, you're getting a trained professional who is a real employee of the company. That means they're insured, they're certified, they go through safety courses before ever stepping on your roof. If something goes wrong with a subcontractor, you could be the one on the hook, but with TSpark, you've got peace of mind, and that's worth everything. TSpark Enterprises, we conquer all peaks. All right, we're going to fire away immediately to the phone lines here. You up for that, Gene?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's think. A couple people brought that up. Tom, what was your feeling on this? Because I had a couple of us agreed in the group when we were watching the game, a couple didn't, about the end of regulation going for 2. I'm the classic at the end of the game. You scored that touchdown. You had the momentum. I'm saying go for it. It seemed like we had a good kind of vibe there when we were doing those plays earlier when we were down on the 1 or 2 yard line before. So I always like go for 2.
I think if you're the worst team or you have no business being in the game, you should, like Brian Kelly a couple of years ago in the Superdome. That was a fluky finish. You take that 2-point play that you have with Jaden Daniels, you leave a winner instead of getting your extra point blocked. I think in that situation, I don't know. I felt like for the balance of the game, people are going to get mad, but I feel like for the balance of the game, you give me equal possessions on the 25-yard line, Florida State's going to walk away with a win. The problem is they come up short, Gene. They miss on a wide open touchdown or at least a first down play on that screen in overtime, but then they get the stop to follow. Like the defense did rise up in that moment. They did get a stop. The defense also rose up with just over 2 minutes to go to get you the ball back in the first place. You could look at it.
That was very conservative play calling by them.
It was.
I don't know about that. Just the way the defense had played the whole game, I just didn't want them. I didn't want to see them with the ball again. I want to end it there one way or the other.
I can understand that sentiment.
I couldn't suffer anymore.
No more Chandler Morris. Let's just win or lose on this play. I can understand that. I think it's a fair point. I don't know that I would have done that, but it's totally fair, especially now. We're all going to be thinking about what if and all these little situations.
Yeah, but let's take some calls. Absolutely.
All right, we go to Ocala for Gene in Ocala. He was waiting before we even fired up the stream. Gene in Ocala, we appreciate you calling in. Go ahead, sir.
What's going on, Tom? What's happening, Gene?
Hey, Gene.
Bummed, man. How are you?
Oh man, this one hurts my chest a little bit. This one hurts. I listened to everything all week long. I listened to everything that we got going on Warchant, and everybody was like, it's just gonna be so great for that Miami showdown, but let's not forget about what's going on in Virginia. And we have seen it. I have been a fan forever. I was in Virginia whenever Ward Dunn got stopped and he needed 2 more pounds for that 178 frame. My thing is, why stop running the ball? We were running the ball so good. We lathered up. We thought that we got away from this. Let's get cute with it. Whenever we were down in the red zone and Sarchuk was just chewing up yards, and Gus decided to call that flare-out screen or whatever it was. And we got too cute. And whenever your defense is looking like this, you just have to play smash mouth football. Tom, you said it over and over and over about us just putting the head down and running the ball. Once they started doing other things is whenever it went to the left. I appreciate you all. Thank you all for what you do. Yes, this one hurts because some of the calls from the ACC refs, I mean, it's typical. We expect these things. We just didn't expect for down the stretch certain decisions. And my one last thing is this. On the 4th down play, why did we come in so tight and you left Tommy nothing to do but what happened? If you spread everybody out and he can have an opportunity to have other choices, but that bring everybody in and have it so compacted, you were just asking for what took place. Thank you again. Thank you for everything. It's still go Noles, and like you all said, we save everything by beating the number 2 team next week.
Mm-hmm.
Go Noles. Thank y'all.
Appreciate you, Gene. Thank you. Yeah. I think so. There's a few things to pick from there, but that 4th down call where they have a bunch of tight ends out there, he's lined up next to 89. I didn't know we had an 89 on the team. That was in regulation, the 4th down. I don't think everybody knew they were releasing into a route there. Gene Williams. I don't think they did. So you watch the snap and watch. There's a couple of tight ends that release out, but 89 turns around. He's like, oh, was I supposed to sit down in a zone and catch the ball? Of all the trick plays, which many of them worked and many of them looked very, very good, as Gus exactly wanted to draw them up, I don't think everybody knew their assignment on that play, which sucks, man. And then also, I would agree early in the game on the Tommy Castellanos pick in the red zone, you did get down the field there by running the hell out of the ball. And
yeah, you got the ball on the 4-yard line and you are gashing them. I mean, that was a little cute. That was the first thing I thought. Again, it was a little. The guy made a good play to tip the ball, and he got lucky that it just happened to bounce right back up in his hands. I get it, but again, sometimes, like you always talk about, coaches want to think they're the smartest guy in the room. Instead of just doing what's simple and taking what's given to you, they want to show something fancy that they can do that. So yeah, I agree on that point. Like you pointed out earlier, Tom, that screenplay that Gene brought up was, it was there. He didn't make the throw. The only complaint I would have about that is the fact that he's struggled throwing to the side to side all game long. So that'd be the only reason I would maybe hesitate about doing that. I think the other point on some of the stuff, I wish they would have moved Tommy around a little bit more. It seemed like he was a lot of times a pocket passer. I didn't really understand that. I didn't really see a whole lot of plays with him on the moves with some more RPO type stuff. Again, small criticisms. I really don't think this was on the offense, but yeah, there were some stuff they could have done better.
A couple of things on the passing game. I think that they schemed up a lot of passing stuff because they know that Virginia's secondary is awful. And you might say, well, we're better at running the ball, and we were successful at running the ball. Point taken. I'm just saying I think that's what they were looking at here.
Sure.
But a question that I think that's fair to ask, outside of some of the guys that Tommy missed, and he missed probably about a half dozen throws tonight that you're like, that's not great, including the key third down screenplay in overtime. Deuce was a monster tonight. I hate that his night is punctuated by that drop in the end zone because that's one of Tommy's best throws of the night, sadly, to deuce up the seam there in the right corner of the end zone. But Deuce had 9 for 147. He had 5 or 6 catches for 100 yards in the first half. So he was dominant in the first half. He was situationally very effective in the second half, including that fourth down catch he made on the back shoulder. That's a low percentage play and a very nice catch by Deuce to move the chains earlier in the game. But after that, Mekhi Danzy's your next leading catcher, 3 for 42. LaWayne McCoy, 2 for 44. Good to see him out there. Randy Pittman, 2 for 16. Squirrel White, 2 for 5. What's going on with Squirrel? He was he was not, there was no injury designation whatsoever for Squirrel this week. He was healthy enough to return punts. What's going on with Squirrel White? I'm a little worried about this, Gene.
I just think he was off for a few weeks and it's just probably a little bit of rust. Maybe, how much he practiced, how much he's part of the game plan coming into this, who knows? So, we don't know. You have to go back and look at the coverages, what they were doing against him. Obviously, Deuce was, when he was very successful, and they threw it to him every time except when he dropped it, a wide open one in the end zone that should have been a walk-in. Other than that, it seemed to be working when they went to him. So I don't really, again, have too many questions about how they distributed the ball. It seemed to work as long as they properly executed and didn't commit a turnover or drop a pass. The offense was working really well.
I would like to see, I can't wait for this tomorrow, as much as the PFF grades are going to make me mad, but I do want to see Squirrel's snap count tomorrow. That will be interesting to me. Next up is we go down to Miami. It's that time of year, and I know he'll be driving up here with his friends. It's Marlin in Miami for the 20th time on Warchant TV. It's Marlin in Miami. Go ahead, Marlin. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Gene. How y'all doing?
Hey, Marlin.
Hanging in, man.
Night tonight.
Yep.
I think the offense did enough to actually win this game, but what I want to talk about is the adjustments on the defense or the lack thereof. We kept hearing that the 3-3-3-5, whatever, was going to be multiple, and he could switch back to the 4-3. And I think there was a missed opportunity in not switching back to more of a 4-down line because they were just killing us up the middle with their running back. And no containment at all. We lost containment. Every time that quarterback would keep the ball, it was because we lost containment. I can't believe once he couldn't adjust. Once he found out that his hand was broken, he didn't throw the ball anymore the whole game. It was just run. And I would have went for 2. I would have escaped there with a win.
I'm with you, Marlon.
With the Wildcat, we could have just got up in there real quick, get the Wildcat going again, and just leave there with. I think we could have just left there with a win. As bad as we played, we gifted them 14 points right from the beginning. But if we don't make those adjustments, Miami's going to kill us. Because if you give and we're not giving no pressure. It's been a while since we put pressure with just the line, and if you give that guy down here time, he's going to eat you up, just like he was eating us up down the middle. And I think Squirrel played. I think he was just rusty. You could see it in him. He was rusty. Hey, I'll be up there, guys. I hope to see y'all at the CP. And it's always go Noles.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Marlon. Very good call. Those concerns on defense absolutely warranted.
Mm-hmm.
Marlon's one of our good viewers, alert viewers who watches the games and has some good thoughts he brings to the table there. The contain thing is nuts. I'd have to go back and take a look how many times he added a fourth guy. Frankly, I saw several blitzes, 5- and 6-man rushes that just got picked up.
They never got home. They were picked up every time. And what do you think about Marlon's comment about schematically what they do on defense, the different formations, the 3-3 versus having 4 linemen down? Is that something we could see change going into the Miami game?
It could be. I mean, again, it's all how you want to generate pressure. That's one thing I was saying. Like, I want to see how many times they added a fourth guy, because if you had the Jack linebacker up there, it's essentially a 4-man front. He might not have his hand in the dirt, but it's a 4-man front. I do want to see that. I know early in this game and for pockets of the second half, they wanted to lay off and play back and play coverage and keep everything in front of them. Frankly, it worked on one of the interceptions. The second interception that was thrown is the tip pass, and Herring ends up coming away with it, Elijah Herring. They rushed 3 against a 6.5-man protection, Gene. They've got 6 in the block, plus the running back who chips for Virginia. Only 3 guys are being released in routes. You got 8 versus 3. And Morris gives in and throws an inexcusable interception in that situation. So it's not like it didn't work when they dropped and played a little bit more passive, but I do want to see how, and that's an instance of a 3-man rush. I think they had more guys there often. I think they just got beat. The other thing I would say is we were talking about lauding the strength of the defensive rotation, 25 guys used against Alabama. There were a lot of dudes on the defensive line used tonight. I want to know who graded out well. I feel like the Desires might. I feel like Deontay McCray might have graded out well. I think Darrell had a decent night, but there were several guys that, like Jason Jenkins, I didn't hear his name at all tonight. James Williams, another rough night. You saw him on the sideline shaking his head towards the end of the night.
Daryl Jackson, for all the hype, this was a game they really need him in the middle, and he seemed to disappear.
He did. Now, that's a thankless position. He might have been eating up things, and the linebackers weren't coming.
I didn't see any push. I mean, maybe they doubled him up or whatever. We'll have to go back and look at the grades and stuff. But somebody who's supposed to be a high NFL pick in all the comments preseason, you should have seen some kind of disruption up in the middle, but there wasn't.
Florida State, it just felt like if you played from ahead momentum-wise, you probably could have run away with this game, not by a humongous number, but by a decent number that you felt comfortable in the second half. They had the lead briefly at 21-14, and then that's the key sequence there. I think you pointed that out right, Gene. I'm looking at 14-point swings, but you would grab the momentum of the game back, and that offense looked unstoppable in that moment. Florida State's did at 21-14. You try and jump a pass, it goes off your hand, and the next thing you know, they're inside the 30-yard line. That's just a killer sequence for Florida State, and they really never recovered from that. They felt like they were chasing the rest of the way. Let's see. We now go to we'll take a break in just a second, but we go to Josh in Long Island next for the 61st time on Warchant TV. It is Josh in Long Island. Go ahead, sir.
Tommy, Tom, and Gino. Well, first I will say this. We missed Squirrel early on a go route. We overthrew him.
Yep.
We overthrew him. So that was the one, and we never went back to him. But the object of my ire, and this is just like killing me. Why do we play weeknight games in the ACC? They don't do it. You never see Alabama on the weeknight. You never see Ohio State on a weeknight. You never see Michigan on a weeknight. You always see the ACC on a weeknight. So I started checking who else has a weeknight game. And, luckily, Miami has one against Louisville the Friday night, but it's in Miami. And it just baffles my mind why we always have these weeknight games, because it's just a house of horrors. Like I go all the way back to when EJ was the quarterback and we lost to NC State. And then like we like weeknight games are just terrible for me. I mean, and terrible for us, I should say. You know, tonight's game, obviously you could point to a whole lot of things. It was just, it was like Halloween, man. Like the people weren't playing like they were supposed to. They weren't playing like the FSU that we've seen. But at the end of the day, you know, it's not like what did we expect, but like I thought this type of game would happen. It just didn't. I didn't think that it would happen so soon, like against Virginia. This is classic FSU, you know, winning 10, 11 games. And then we look back and we look at the game like we lost that one. Like we lost to Wake Forest. We would lose to like an NC State. We would lose to somebody like a Louisville. And it's just, it's disheartening. But, you know, next week, I think we're going to come back and play well. I think we'll play really well next week. I don't think the kids were looking ahead. I just think that, you know, because they seen the tape, they seen how good Virginia is. It's just we did not play sound at all, especially defensively. And we were putting 6 and 7 in the box. It got so bad where we were crashing down our defensive ends, and that's how they lost containment, because they were just bludgeoning us between the tackles. So it was just like, you know, our guys just lost containment. They lost all types of discipline, and you know, it's good to learn from. I don't think Miami is going to do the same thing. I really don't, because I think we'll be better prepared for it as a defense. But you know, this is just it's disheartening, but it's also a wake up call, right? Like, you know, you're not gonna be 2-10 and then wake up and be 13-0 or 14-0 or 15-0. Like it takes a little bit more than that, right? And winning these games with this group is one of the things that we have to do. So, I appreciate you guys always. Go Noles, Warchant, #1. And one last thing before I go, I do remember I was listening to Corey. Corey said, would you take losing to Virginia to beat Miami? And it was a real question, and I said yes from the beginning. And it reared its ugly head, but now it's, you know, the chips are on the table now. So time to go beat those.
I'll take it.
Those Typhoons.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys.
There you go. Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, I think, you know, one thing that's going to be very different about next week's game is you won't have to worry about the quarterback run the way that you did tonight. Beck is going to be at a spot.
There's one positive.
But you got to be able to.
does not defend that well.
No. Well, yeah, the loss contained. I think, you know, that one drive where they run it 11 out of 12 times and they score the touchdown with the quarterback with a hurt hand, for crying out loud. You've heard of Herb hand? How about hurt hand? That was Chandler Morris. There's also a couple of unbelievably nice cuts by the running backs to create their own space when everything's bottled up. And you could say that's uncontained. I'm going to call that like really nice plays made. Yeah. But there's 4 or 5 runs where you're saying, what the hell?
They're a good team. It's like last year we talked about, except the team went in a different direction. We played Georgia Tech. You knew there was a pretty good Georgia Tech team. You saw they were a really good team last year. So I feel the same way about Virginia. Unfortunately, Florida State seems to get these teams in the ACC that for some reason are on a rise. I mean, last year, I think every ACC team they played last year went to a bowl. It's just the way it happens. And yeah, as Josh pointed out, again, you're stuck with these damn weeknight games on the road in the ACC all the time. And the reason you don't see the Ohio States and Alabamas playing those because they're in real conferences. And when you're in the ACC, this is part of the crap you got to deal with. And unfortunately, they like putting Florida State on those night games because it's good TV ratings, and you can only veto so many times. People, you know, a lot of people ask me, well, why do we agree to this? Well, you don't really have a choice. There's a certain amount of wiggle room when it comes to scheduling, but you can't, if they want to put you on a weeknight every week. I mean, they probably would love to do that. If the ACC could, they'd have you play Thursday, Friday night every week if they could, but you can only veto so many times.
Correct. It's Bush League out of the conference to have to do it. I'm not saying that their assignment of Florida State is Bush League. I'm saying like it's just they're not the major leagues. They're not. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Florida State was coming off of 3 weeks of nothing. Okay, and on Saturday night, Virginia played. They didn't have the same window that we had midday. They played the night game against Stanford. Like so. there's just no excuse for it. A few contributions before we go to break. Mark says that reset of the play clock on their 2-point was bull.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed. Thank you for the contribution, Mark. Dominic says score 38 under should beat score 38. You should beat Virginia 84% of the time. Defensive issues. Thank you. Dominic also says Tony White got out coached. And what about James Williams? A lot of time to talk about that. We appreciate that. Justin says UCLA is going to be pissed because Tony White's going to be late to a Zoom call tonight. I see a lot of Zoom stuff out there. Rubbish also says Tony and Gus had some head scratchers tonight. Yeah. 100%. Thank you all for your contributions. We'll hit more of those contributions and your phone calls. We'll see Richard, Jack, and Paul. You three are going to be up next right after we take a 2-minute break right here on Warchant TV on the Warchant Game Day postgame call-in show built by TSpark Enterprises.
Greatness is built through passion, perseverance, and an unyielding commitment to one's trade. It starts with dedication and the relentless pursuit of perfection. The early mornings, the late evenings, the sacrifices made, all for that one moment of knocking it out of the park. On every job we do, TSpark, we conquer all peaks.
All righty, we haven't unveiled it yet for tonight, but we have to. What you drinking, Gene? Let's take a look at the Drinko-meter and what the result. I think I can guess. There it is. It could have been craft beer. It could have been light beer.
Could have been.
Could have been NA beer, especially if they went for 2, as you recommended at the end of the 4th.
I'd have been sucking down the NA beer. It would have been glorious, Tom.
Yeah, so we got still water. You got any ice in there? No?
No, just warm, lukewarm. I'm punishing myself.
Lukewarm. Well, actually, the
water.
body absorbs that better anyway, so good for you. You're much more efficient than Florida State's defense was in the way you're consuming the water. Good luck to everybody who's consuming things tonight. Be safe out there. It's gonna be a rough one. All right, we go back to the phone lines. A reminder: we got a lot of people that want to talk, so a minute, 90 seconds, absolute max if you can.
Yeah.
We now go to, and I will start enforcing this. I'm going to start humming, and then then you're. After the Oscars hum, like, and then we got to go because we got to move on to the next person. But we appreciate all of you who are waiting patiently. And Richard in Cummings, Georgia, has waited for nearly 45 minutes. So, Richard, appreciate it for the 13th time on Warchant TV. Go ahead, good sir.
Hey, how you guys doing? Sorry I missed last week. I was working.
Well, that's all right.
I was kind of watching tonight's game, and I saw how the defense worked, but when things start off, I kind of wonder, does the ACC really like us? I saw some of those calls, and I saw it, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, we got this going on, but I don't know what you guys think, but that was kind of my initial thought in the first 15 minutes was, does the ACC really like us?
No, that's and I can understand that being some of the sentiment, Richard. But what I can tell you is I thought most of those replays were executed well. I thought it's tough to overturn a catch on the field, but I do think that Deuce Robinson.
The replays were right.
Yeah,
I didn't have an
I think
issue
they're
with that. I mean, like I said, my biggest issue, a lot of holds on FSU that were not called. The initial penalty on Deuce was BS. And to answer Richard's question, no, the ACC doesn't like us. You sued them. You called them out publicly, and their broadcast partner screwed you over by leading the charge of not letting you get in the playoffs when you're the only undefeated Power 4 champion to ever not get in the playoffs, and you fired back at them. No, and they know you're leaving. It's like your girlfriend, and you're already out flirting with somebody else, and she knows you're going to leave her. Of course they don't like you. So no, this is, but they've always screwed FSU. I mean, anybody who's been an FSU fan for a while in the ACC knows that this is just SOP in this conference.
Yeah, of the list of things that I would look to that I'm mad about tonight, the officials are like ninth.
Yeah.
There's
I blame the defense. At the end of the day, look, there were some bad calls, and most of them were against FSU. I didn't like it, but you got gashed on defense. You got emasculated on defense, and there's no excuse for that. That was not the officials pushing your defensive line around.
100%. We appreciate the call, Richard. Now we go to a new caller. His name is Jack. He's in Tallahassee. He's from the 469, though. I don't know what area code that is, but Jack, go ahead. Welcome to the program.
It's a Dallas code. I'll try to go fast. I got a couple of things I want to say.
Go for it.
The first thing I'd say is you can make any excuse about tonight. The penalties, the bad lucks for the turnover. It seemed like the ball was covered in Vaseline for most of the night. But our guys just looked like they didn't want to be there. Like they cut to the sideline after that long Virginia drive for the touchdown, and they just all had their heads down. They look sad. It doesn't look like the same team these past 3 games. We had a punt the first drive, which I don't think they're used to. Maybe that was the cause, but who knows? The second thing I'll say is the O-line looked awful. Our O-line the first 3 games was the best the O-line for Florida State has looked that I can remember. But they're getting through almost every single play. It's ridiculous. Or we'd say that Virginia's D-line is actually better than Alabama's. It doesn't make sense to me.
Fair. We appreciate the call, Jack, and hope you call back again. I think situationally late in the game, Florida State didn't run the ball the way they wanted to, and that's disconcerting. I thought in the throes of the first 3-4 quarters, for most of it, Florida State ran the ball fairly effectively. But they didn't have a night like they did an afternoon against Alabama. It wasn't the same thing. And that's fair. The tackling issues, that's the want to that I would circle more. I don't know about Eugene, but more than some of the stuff. I saw the body language on the sideline, especially it was a 35-28, and it was the long touchdown drive, and you saw a despondent look in the defensive. I mean, even Pot Roast was sitting next to James Williams in the D-line, and they all just have that faraway look. That's not great. Don't love to see that at all. But also you could see it on the field where guys are trying to strip the ball out instead of just trying to go for the tackle or lowering their shoulder, not getting their arms out and extended to wrap up. You saw Earl Little pulled aside by Mike Norvell before halftime, and he said, wrap up. What the hell's wrong with you? That's the kind of stuff that I didn't expect to see tonight. I thought if they were going to get beat, they'd get beat a little bit more honestly than having tackling issues. And it looked like sometimes they got their signals in late and they broke their rules about where they were supposed to be. That's the concerning stuff to me.
Yeah, that's where you have to wonder how much of this is just kind of emotion versus it, because you can't, it looked like 2 totally different teams on both sides of the ball, offense, defense. When you look back a few weeks to Alabama, that team had a totally different mentality. And like you said, they were wrapping guys up. They were getting pushed. They were aggressive. They had an aggressive attitude the entire game. And like you said, the body language was off for this guys. But I think, again, it's the first game on the road. And, that's a weird thing. You're still dealing with relatively young men that can be very emotional and get caught up in momentum and, a hostile crowd and some stuff like that. So, yeah, they got a learning lesson. So hopefully they get it out of their system, and we see the team that played against Alabama more frequently than this team that obviously did. I mean, Virginia was more focused. They were more dialed in. They wanted this game more than FSU. That was pretty obvious.
Yeah, the one thing I'm going to ask ACC officials to do is when the play is stopped, blow the whistle. You are asking for extracurriculars after the play. If you're just going to stand there, not blow the play dead, not put your hand in the sky to signal forward progress is stopped. We got to stop with this scrum stuff, Gene. You're just
they were picking. It was already down. They picked him up off the ground and we have to carry him. I mean, at some point, blow the damn whistle. I'm with you on that one.
Well,
That
that's,
was
we get flagged for the 15 yards there. I think it's a 50-50 battle. That's in the first half. That's one of those.
Oh, the one he was holding our face mask, and then we pushed back and like, oh, sorry, you grabbed my face mask. Why isn't that a penalty on them?
You're just cultivating chippiness that doesn't need to be there. And thank God to the one coach who got, I think that might have been Sertan, who ran out there after we get a stop on the third down just outside of the 2-minute timeout and grabs Jabril Rawls. Rawls was going to get flagged. Like, good job. I think that was Sertan, because that I was like, don't you dare. You know these officials want to throw that flag and end the game on an unsportsmanlike. Thank God. I think that was Sertan. If it was, good on him. We now go to Queens, New York. We haven't talked to Paul since November of 2023. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Welcome back to the program, Paul. How's it going?
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Glad to be back. I usually call after Miami games, but I felt obligated to call tonight. You guys touched on everything I wanted to say, but Jesus. And I understand why there's a time limit, because Josh from Long Island took way too much time. Long Island guys do. But listen, I got to talk about our defense. I hated everything I saw from the second quarter. I said we are going to lose this game. It felt like this is the difference. Going into this game, and I've been watching, listen, FSU alum here, class of 94. I've been watching FSU games since 90. I always equate a game today, what was the game of the play? This was going to be 2012 Clemson. I know you guys know it better than me, but they had that high potent offense. We had our offense. We needed a stop. We needed a stop in 12, and we felt comfortable. And I said, we're going to win this game. We never got the stop. And then when we scored that, it was a miracle. Let's be honest. That touchdown at the end of regulation, or I shouldn't say the end of regulation, the end of the game. Who the hell was that? I can't remember right now who the hell it was. But that when he scored that touchdown and they reviewed it and they got it right brilliantly, I said, we got to go for two. We cannot. What we're doing is we're extending the execution. We're going to lose to Virginia because we would offensively. I know we had turnovers, but we were kind of quasi in control. Defensively, we were never in control. That's Chandler Morris. We lost to a dude named Chandler Morris, 11-year senior, broken thumb. They're gonna run the ball, Tony. They're gonna run the ball. We could not do a damn thing about it. Listen, I always end my calls with this. Gene, thank you for everything, because without you, I would have no idea what's happening with Florida State up there in Queens. And Tom, you're gold. I love everything you do. We got to get you more out there. I love your Smash show. I love you with Jeff. You're the star. Thank you, guys. I can't know we talk about officiating. I was 100%. I had my friends in from FSU, but they show up because I had alcohol, so they show up.
It's your warning, Paul.
It should have been a fumble. Yeah. That should have been a fumble. And they for us. I forget who it was. Who was it? Danzy?
Yeah,
Danzy. Fumble. I'm out.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
I appreciate that. I don't know if that's my Uncle Paul or not. Boy, you give me a lot of because I lived in Queens. That's where I come from, is Rockaway. So thank you, Paul. I love the inside thing, the dig on Long Island versus that as well. We love you, Josh. There's a lot to chew on there. Anything that you take away specifically, or do you just echo what Paul had to say? I thought that was a pretty good call up and down.
I think Paul hit it on a bunch of different points there. Yeah. And I appreciate the call up to us, Paul. We love you too, man. You've been able to, fans like you've been able to let us go on Warchant a long time. And I can hire people like Tom and Jeff and Ira and Corey and incredible staff we have. So thank you for calling in and spreading the kind words.
We needed a stop. That's what, it felt like that. Like, can we just get off the field on
and I agree with him about the 2-pointer. And I want to, again, honestly, if people, we got, 7,000 plus people out there, a bunch of people in the chat. Give me your honest opinion at the time, not now. In hindsight, we all now say, yeah, go for 2. I'm really curious because, again, he said that I was all about go for 2 because you were so out of control on defense. You could not stop anything. It's had such a bad vibe. I figured you had to end it there. And I know Tom, what you say is you do it when you're the underdog and all this. To me, when we got in that second half, I felt FSU was the underdog. It never felt like they were in any kind of control of this game. That's why I was like, you're on the road, get it done, go for 2. And it seemed like they had a good set of plays. I trust Gus in that circumstance come up with a play to score.
Yeah, I'm here for that argument. Like, that's not one of those things where I'm like, no, you're crazy. Don't ever do that. I understand exactly the thinking. I just don't know that I would have done it. And you're saying be honest, right? So I'm being honest.
Now everyone's going, oh, yeah, of course you go for 2. They're all saying that at the time because it was split. We had myself and my friend Dan were like, let's go for 2. And other people are like, no, I'm not going to call them out. They said, no, kick the extra point. You're the favorite. Take it to overtime. No, I say win it right there.
A few more contributions here. 4, in fact, I think there's a big one that's coming up. Who do we got here? Yep. Your raid siren belongs to James B.
Hey!
Oh, man. I hope those are fireworks. Let's see. James B says, all Miami Trolls can suck it. Win a damn ACC championship for once. We'll see y'all in Doak next week. Miami, FF Miami. There you go, Gene. Thank you very much for the contribution. He is clapping back, Gene, at the haters in the live chat right now, and doing so.
Funny how they all come out of the woodworks, don't they? And as soon as Miami loses 2 or 3 games like they always do, they'll all disappear. But that's what Miami fans do.
This is how that works. They don't find us after they win things.
Front runners,
because they don't win things. You know, it's you can lean on the 90s and 2000, and 1980, whatever. That's 25 years ago, folks. That's 25 years ago. But you feel free to do that. Let's see. Next up on the contribution list is Johnny Zeno Brink Gardner. I love having the names back. Thank you, YouTube, for not doing those long handles anymore. Tony got totally schooled. DL got manhandled. Unfortunately, this gives ESPN all the ammo. It needs to say our Bama win was a fluke and we don't belong in the top 20. And what do we need to do to get a holding call around here?
I'm with you, Johnny.
I think Gene very much likes that contribution. He echoes a lot of your sentiments, founder and administrator of Warchant.com, especially the ESPN. That's a very nice signature move. Next up in terms of contributions is, Chris B. Thank you very much. Wow. Thank you very, very much for the super sticker. We appreciate you. And one more before we go back to the phone lines. That will be whom? Eric Angel. What's up? Sorry, the phone lines are too busy. The phone lines are too busy, but that's an NFL catch by Deuce Robinson, and I still believe College Game Day is coming to Tallahassee next Saturday. Sorry, I have to read the caption or the all caps like that. Very much appreciated, Eric Angel. I don't think it was a catch. I wish it were, and I wish they just said the ruling on the field is upheld and stands.
It's crazy when they did that in super slow-mo. It's a great shot, by the way. So he's got it in the fingertips, and he had 2 feet down. I'm like, it's done. Then the problem was he took his hand off and readjusted after the play. And I hate the way, to me, it's like you got 2 feet down. You only need 1. You had control, even though it's your fingertips. The play should be over. I always hate this thing, but they do it in the NFL too. I hate this thing that they keep going and going and going. And at some point, if you lose control, even well after the play should be over, they don't call it a catch. So based on how the rule is interpreted, it wasn't a catch. As much as I hate to say it should have been. It was right there. Great throw.
One more contribution.
Oh, here we go.
John 23 says the interception in the red zone will give me nightmares for the next 30 years. Stay with the smash mouth football at that point. They could not stop us. Fair.
I agree, John.
I hate it too. All right, we go to one of the legends. He gets an extra 30 seconds than everybody else because he is a legend here. He likes to go on rants, and he's going to talk about pros and cons about what he saw tonight. It is 100 proof football. We go to Wyoming. 100 proof football. Go ahead.
What's up, y'all? It's so good to talk to y'all again and hear your voice. I'm always lurking if you don't ever hear me in the chat or on the phones. Rest assured, I'm always there with you guys. Hey, thank you for giving me the floor because I'm going to talk about a lot in a short amount of time. I'm good at that. Bloviating, that is. I was there for the 1995 game. I was in the 7th grade. You know how I remember that? I remember that because I just got done playing my middle school football game down in South Georgia, and I got home in time to catch the second half of number 2 Florida State on the road at Virginia that year. And I swear to this day that Warwick Dunn was still in, but that's beside the point. You know what? I'm looking on the bright side tonight, and at least we've graduated from playing on Thursday nights when middle school football takes place in the local community to Friday nights on high school football night. Congratulations, Noles and ACC alike. We have finally made it. Give yourselves a round of applause. Look, I'm going to talk big picture and small picture. When we were told that Gus Malzahn and Tony White were the offensive and defensive coordinators, I was a little apprehensive and wasn't so excited, because when Urban Meyer and Malzahn and the like were running college football in the early 2000s, I always thought it was a gimmicky offense, gimmicky defense, the 3-3-5. Here's a fun fact. 0 NFL teams run a base 3-3-5. If you can't do it with the best personnel on the planet, why the hell are we doing it in college? Oh, you might do it at Nebraska while your players aren't as good as the other team, and you got to try to confuse and make up for some deficiencies. But do you think Saban, Smart, Pruitt, Elko, Venables, any team that ever goes and wins championship with championship defense ever runs a 3-3-5? No, they recruit the cornbread fed, top strong country boys so they can run a 3-4 or a 4-3 and impose their will. And that's also kind of what happened on the offense this game. You got down there with that first turnover before the deflection. Why are you throwing the ball from first and what was it, 1st and 10 from the 11? Gus Malzahn, you can't stop it, I'm convinced, from inside the 5-yard line. But outside the 10, he starts getting gimmicky. Can we not just go downhill and impose our will with Sawchuk, Usman Cromall, and the like? We have so many good, talented players. It's a reality check for our whole effing team. UVA scored the first 3 drives of the second half. Every opportunity was a chance to put the game away, but they could not do it. The play calling bailed us out. We need to get tougher. We need to get more physical. After that Alabama game, it was like I took the prettiest girl home from the bar, and then I woke up the next morning and realized I was in Thailand and I was walking funny, and now I got to figure out how to talk to my boys and look myself in the mirror, and where do I go from here? Y'all tell me. Love you. Go Noles. F Miami. F Miami.
Thank you, 100 proof.
Love the passion.
I love the passion. I think he gets a round of applause. He gets a round of applause, yep. Especially for that's not a little too close to home about that vacation he went on and having to look his friends in the eye. Very good. Thank you, 100 proof. We appreciate that. Yeah. You know what?
Always
He's
right about mark that call.
The passing stuff at around the 10-yard line, that drove me nuts too. Like out of nowhere, there was the one call, Tommy runs to the right, he gets tackled, shoestring tackle. Virginia made a lot of open field tackles on Tommy tonight. Give him credit for that. But it puts Florida State in second in passing, with goal to go. And we did not look comfortable in any of those situations. And we got bailed out by the 4th down at the end of regulation, but we did not look comfortable there. If you are in the queue right now as a caller, you are safe. No new callers. No new callers to the postgame call-in show. So I'm talking to you, Jeremiah, John, Ryan, John, different one, and Jake in Nashville. You all are safe. You have made the cut. And we will be coming to you in just 1 second. I do want to thank our title sponsor again tonight, TSpark Enterprises. It's a new service they offer. If you've got an outdated bath or shower, whether it's your home or business, TSpark delivers fast, pro-level bath and shower remodels, and it could be in just as little as a day. No fumbles, just top-quality work and a clean finish, something we could have used tonight. Ready for a game-changing refresh? TSparkConstruction.com. TSpark Enterprises, we conquer all peaks. We'll be back in 90 seconds right here on the Warchant Game Day Postgame Call Show. Final break of the night before we come back and get back to the phone lines.
It rains 130 days a year in Tallahassee, which is 1.7 million gallons of water coming down, plus 500 pounds of leaves piling up on your roof, and maybe a tree branch or two. We spend 23.5 hours a day thinking about roofs. We've driven 60,000 miles in a year serving our customers. We've climbed 2,000 ladders to install over 100,000 shingles. You've got one roof. Let TSpark worry about the rest.
It's Saturday morning on the East Coast. Another late night affair for Florida State that doesn't end up on the right side of the ledger. Florida State loses in 2 overtimes to Virginia. We're here on the Warchant Game Day Postgame Call-In Show. Brinzy, thank you very much for the contributions. 2 of them. He also says Tony White, 1 foot out of the door for UCLA. McCluskey says Tony spending too much time on UCLA Zoom calls. We got a lot of that. I will only yell for caps locks for Eric Angel. Otherwise, I will just say mentally unprepared, over and over, says Charlie Basil. Thank you, Charlie. And one Zach says, I think the loss was needed. We've been hearing how great we all are. This will tune us up for Miami. Appreciate all of those contributions. We also want to welcome a brand new sponsor to the show. This is the Warchant Game Day Postgame Call-In Show built by TSpark Enterprises. But now we'd like to welcome Lucky Goat Coffee, Tallahassee's hometown coffee company since 2010. Lucky Goat is a really cool spot. And Gene Williams, you know it best.
Yes.
I'd venture to say of the meetings I've been to where we meet face-to-face over the last 4 years at Warchant full-time, like 90% are at Lucky Goat. And we'll get to your thoughts on Lucky Goat and your experiences in just a second. But last year, Lucky Goat launched its franchise program. Listen up, business owners. Or if you want to be a business owner, the response has been incredible. 28 franchise locations already signed, nearly all owned, this is important, by FSU alumni, parents, or families with Seminole ties. Average sales topping $1 million per cafe, proven systems in place. The timing has never been better. Gene, you love their products, man. You are a coffee shop goer, and Lucky Goat is one of your top go-tos.
It is unbelievable. This is we get a lot of sponsors and they're great, but this is one of the ones like I perked up when we got approached about them being a sponsor because I love them. I mean, they really are truly a great product. They were founded in 2010. I've been a loyal customer since then. Going to visit them, I love it. And now all these franchises. The wife and I were in Destin about a month ago, Tom, and I was like, "There's a Lucky Goat there. This is fantastic. It's one of my favorite coffee places and so I mean, it's really cool that they're doing this and you have franchise to be able to go out and serve up some great coffee. I mean, everything's done locally. They're big FSU supporters and just fantastic. Whether it's the Snowflake Crunch is one of my favorites. You had that one, Tom. They come out with a bunch of seasonal different kind of brews. It's really great. So yeah, great opportunity to be able to franchise, and I want to see them wherever I go on vacation. I want to make sure there's a Lucky Goat there.
I'm going to tell you that it's all throughout the Southeast, but what they're sponsoring for us during the show is the moment of the game. Wish we could have started on a winning note. TSpark knows what it's like. It's like, yeah, get a load of that, Lucky Goat. We've been there. What's the thing that sticks in your craw now that you've had another hour and change to digest the loss, Gene?
Well, I think we talked about it early in the show, and I think you kind of agree with me, Tom. This is the turning point of the game, and that was FSU had got that momentum back at 21-14, and you had a chance to get a stop, and you jumped a route, and the ball went the wrong way on a deflection. Worst case, it should have been a PBU, and then they're backed up against and maybe get a punt. Who knows? You could be up 28-14 at the half. Instead, they go out and scored. And you could have stopped them after that play, but to me, that really shifted the momentum back to UVA. And I never felt FSU got it back after that. The entire game, it seemed like they were on their heels playing catch-up after that.
I'm going to add something new to it. This is the first drive of the third quarter where you missed the field goal. You're moving right down the field. You got a complete pass to LaWayne McCoy in a 3rd and 8 that gets that drive started. Sawchuk gets stuffed, but then Squirrel White catches an 8-yarder. Sawchuk moves the chains. Cromah runs for 23 yards right after that. Cromah for 5 more. You're 2nd and 5 at the UVA 25. In this situation. And then the UVA defender, it's Melton, Mitchell Melton, makes 2 really nice plays on read options in which Tommy guesses wrong both times. He puts Tommy in a position where should I keep, should I give? And Melton has him fooled, especially on the 2nd and 5 play where Tommy thinks it's going to be a crash. In the end, it's a Tommy rush for just no yards, then he loses a yard on the next play. So it's 4th and 6 from the 26. FSU could have reasserted itself out of the break, Gene, been up 7 points, 28-21. Instead, now they got to settle for a field goal, and Weinberg pushes it wide to the right. And now it's 21-21, and Florida State plays chasing, the chaser from that point moving forward. So it's an extension of what you're talking about, the deflected pass, but just a tough moment for Florida State on a night where, as we get further away from this game, there are going to be new things that occur to you. And like tomorrow, you're going to be at the grocery store watching the 3:30 window, go, damn it, I forgot about that one play. They all added up to a loss for Florida State tonight. Founded in 2010 with one simple goal in mind, make great coffee, Lucky Goat is looking for new franchise partners across the southeastern Texas, people who love great coffee and share Lucky Goat's core values and want to bring that same community vibe to their hometown. So if you're a Seminole who's passionate about craft coffee and ready to own a business with deep FSU roots, visit LuckyGoatFranchise.com, LuckyGoatFranchise.com, or call 850-756-1884. Thanks to Lucky Goat Coffee, and we'll get you a win hopefully next week. Next up on the show, we go to the 407. We're talking to Jeremiah in Orlando. Jeremiah, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you guys doing? I appreciate you letting me on here. There's a lot that was concerning, obviously, but for me, the most concerning part of this where we had 2 long soul-sucking drives where we had poor tackling. Tony White was making absolutely no adjustments. We had a very vanilla scheme. There was absolutely no pass rush. And if you guys remember, the only time we actually did get a pass rush, we pushed that guy outside the pocket and he threw an interception. But there was no rush up front, and there was no like exotic blitz package. He didn't throw anything at them that would get them off their flow. And that didn't happen once. It happened 2. I think the 2 drives were like 8-minute long drives. And it broke our will. And I think you guys were referencing how on the sideline they started having bad body language. That was once they saw they couldn't stop them, and Tony White wasn't putting any package in there to kind of slow down their momentum. And so, it's concerning in the bigger picture of the season is, that in conjunction with the poor tackling, it leads to the conclusion that we're getting poor coaching. If they're not tackling and they're not wrapping up, you never see a Nick Saban coach team where they don't wrap up somebody or they don't make a tackle. I mean, it was all over the field. It was blatant, guys going in there, not wrapping up, just trying to go in there and bump the guy. And they weren't falling down and they get another 10, 15 yards. It's unacceptable.
I appreciate it, Jeremiah. Thank you very much. The tackling was consistently poor. I don't want to go so far as to say that they're poor coaches. We were just asking for Tony White, please don't go 24 hours ago. But his point is taken. I'm not trying to demean the point, Jeremiah, because they tackled like a bunch of amateurs tonight. It was tough. It was tough to watch. So you're absolutely right to be angry about it. I would also say that there were times that Tony did dial up exotics, but they just got picked up. A lot of those pressures didn't get home. The other point he made, Gene, was about defensive ends. Yeah, that's a little rough.
That's a problem. And
that's something we're going to talk about that all week next week for the Miami game is where is the pass rush going to come from? So, Jeremiah, great call. We agree on some things. We don't agree on others. But, I think that pass rush, defensive ends thing, I kind of poo-pooed it. Before this game, there were some folks in the chat that said, I'm concerned about it. Hey, y'all were right. That's a concern moving forward for this next game, especially against a good offensive line and a quarterback who, as Marlon said on the phone earlier, Gene, if you give Carson Beck time, that's big problems for Florida State.
That was one thing I did see a lot of. Morris was able to be very comfortable in that pocket, I think, as our last caller pointed out. I mean, I remember there was a sack, and there was the one time you flushed him out of the pocket when he threw in the run and he threw the pick. But 90% of the time, he was very comfortable in that pocket when he had sit back there and pass. And that is disconcerting. You said sometimes they didn't bring a blitz. Sometimes they did. It didn't matter. He was comfortable back there and had a lot of times. And there's one thing about Carson Beck that I've seen. He's able to sit there. He will pick you apart if you give him too much time. So, yes, that's concerning. The good news is, but you're back at home. You get to look at film. Obviously, you made a lot of mistakes. Hopefully, you can clean some stuff up. But, again, is Florida State as good as they were against Alabama? Maybe not. The defense probably isn't as bad as we saw tonight. I think a lot of things were playing against them, and emotionally, they were not there. And that is on the coaches. They did not get them correctly prepared for this game.
Joe says, Tony White and pot roast, really? They literally had no answer. UF's defensive coordinator looks interesting if this doesn't get better. Man, I'm not ready to go that far.
Yeah.
I'm mad tonight, just like everybody else, but I'm not ready to go quite that far. We go to Boise, Idaho now to talk to John in Boise. It's been since the Alabama game that we've talked to him. John, welcome back to the fold. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. How you guys doing? I'm sitting out here in my backyard having a campfire and just looking at the stars and drinking a Corona. So pissed off right now, you have no idea. My house was filled with 40 people watching this game. I was the only Florida State fan in here. Everybody else was rooting against me because they're all Boise State lovers out here, and they suck. But I was so pissed off, I grabbed my TV, I threw it out the window.
Oh, no.
But what I don't understand was this. That quarterback of theirs, every time that he ran around the end. He never came up the gut or nothing like that. Where was the spies? I don't understand why we have no one that could spy. I didn't see Stephon Thompson play one game, one down. I didn't even see him in the game at all. Okay, now here's a second. How many times did we use Lucas? One time on offense? Give me a break. Where was everything else at? I don't understand that, like I said, I have a question, guys. Is that game sold out? Because I'm coming there this week for the game for Miami. And I want to meet you guys at the corner pocket and buy you guys a beer. So I know I can't buy you one because you're in New York, but Gene, I'll buy you a drink if you.
No, Tom is here. You can buy us, John. You can buy us both beers. Tom's here too.
There's other things that, like I said, I watched that the intermediate passing. They were just dumping it over the middle. Where in the hell was the linebackers? Where was the passion? I didn't see it. I mean, I know that first interception, if Tommy would have pumped it, the guy comes flying by Tommy and he scoots out. There's a dink to the left. It's just that we played stupid play calling in the worst times. And that's the only thing I can say. I love you guys. I'll see you this weekend at the corner pocket, and hopefully I can get a ticket for the game because I have no idea if it's sold out or not. So you guys go, and I'm worried about the Bucks tomorrow on Sunday because
I'm very worried with all the injuries.
Will be hurting. So
there you
okay,
go.
guys, you have a good
Thanks,
night.
John.
Man.
Appreciate you, John. Yeah, there's a lot to digest there. I don't even want to think about the Bucks right now and how banged up they are against the Eagles. But
this is just one game. Hey, you're looking good in the division. This is one you're going to lose.
Yeah, Stephon played. I'm showing that he did have a tackle tonight defensively. In terms of the rotation,
We'll have the rep count tomorrow. We'll see how many snaps these guys all play. We'll have it up for you for Warchant subscribers in the Travel Council tomorrow.
There was
everybody's snap counts, but not much.
There was only one run up the middle for the touchdown. I feel like that was his first rushing touchdown for Chandler Morris tonight. I think that was one where he breaks it, he goes up the middle. But everything else was to the outside. I think they schemed up a lot of routes to take away the linebackers and force them or a safety or a control defender or whatever the hell you read defender, whatever the hell you want to call it, into a decision about does he defend the route runner or does he come up and try to tackle the quarterback. But it did not appear that there was a dedicated spy. I think Tony White believes his defensive structure was going to create a safety net to contain the quarterback, and they just didn't do a good enough job of that tonight. But I don't know why we're calling for his job after we were just asking to give him a raise.
It's a little bit of an overreaction. Yeah, it was ugly defensively. A lot of things went wrong. You got manhandled. You got outcoached, but even the best coaches get outcoached sometimes. Let's see. It's a long season. Let's see how they respond next Saturday to that. But yes, the defense, it's on them. And there were some mistakes. I'm not giving Gus and the offense a complete pass, but this was on the defense. Let's face it. If they play as we expected them to play, this was a win.
Yep, I totally agree. Seminole Dynasty Mike, thank you for the super sticker. Cute dog, by the way. Wealth Influencer, thank you very much for the super sticker as well. Samurai Noel with the yen, love it. The different currency, first half.
800, yeah. I don't know if that gets a cha-ching or the emergency music. I don't know.
Does it get you the armor that the samurai has right there in the avatar? Oh, there you go. Here comes the end. First half, 40 yards and penalties, 2 turnovers, and a why not go for the field goal before the half. Yeah, that's fair. And there was another comment about that also at the end of the game.
Yeah, that was weird. You got a 6'5" receiver that they had nobody to cover with. I just throw it up to him. What's to lose?
I think we got some autocorrect going on here with Chris, but he says, love the show, guys. Considering the game went, I would have taken a shot with 12 seconds to see if you can get a quick shot, a quick kick. Yeah. I wouldn't want the game to extend considering how our defensive line looked. That was at the end of the game with the pick by Jabril Rawls when Louis Riddick alertly calls the coverage and what his responsibilities were. It's a great play by Jabril. They didn't have any timeouts left, but Gina, you take a shot down the field, you can get up there and spike it in time to try a 60-yarder with Weinberg.
Sure. Or you run a crossing route in the middle of the field, and the guy gets out of bounds at the 40, and you try a long field goal or something. I mean, again, a little bit of a long shot, but I mean, I did not like taking a knee there.
Joey Two Gun says, why didn't we run more? Seems like we were having the best success with the run. Oos looked fantastic. He did. Oosman did look very, very good.
Some of those jump cuts, whew, he's pretty special when he's physical. I mean, but like you said, Tom, their secondary was awful. When it was throwing generally, especially was not going sideline to sideline, when he was throwing vertical, he was making some really nice throws, and FSU was picking up big plays.
Yeah, so the splits were 48 runs to 33 passes tonight.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and the balance was there too. You're at 256 rushing and 258 passing. I mean, I thought it was a pretty good game plan. He had one bad red zone trip, and that was that on the offensive side. Ryan at Santa Rosa Beach, thank you for calling back in. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tom and everybody. I called you last night. I couldn't believe Terry let me through. Not last night, but last week. What I did, I mentioned the knows, if you don't remember, but I did. I gathered some data on the post game last week address by Coach Norvell. So I could give you an over under, but I'm not going to waste everybody's time. I sat there and I tallied every that he said. So we had in the opening address, which lasted about 1 minute, we had 43 knows, 43, including he started the address by saying, Beyond the opening address, we went however many minutes. We hit a total of 140 So, I mean, this is besides the point. This is something that. Oh, by the way, Ira himself hit 2 Corey 0. Corey hit 0. So I don't know what Take that how you will.
You just hit one right there. Yeah.
Beyond that, I just wanted to. I know I only have a minute. I wanted to reflect that and how Terry let me in last week was But all I have left is I said that the running game tonight on our defensive line, and my brother had I had to explain to him that we play a 3-3-5. Yep. My brother said, well, why don't we play a 9-1-1? If we have 9 people on the defensive line and 1-1, he has a hurt thumb. 9-1-1. Who cares? Let's just.
It's a fair call. You were getting to a point eventually, Ryan, but I appreciate it. Yes, that's fair enough. The defensive front,
the emergency formation, the 911.
I like the 911. That's a good sign too. The 911. We appreciate the call. I know you're going to get to the running game, but we have to move on to our next caller. That is John. John's a new caller from the 863. Go ahead, John. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Gene, how are you? I've been a long time fan. I just got a couple of little things. Yeah, the defense did look bad tonight. I won't give up on them. But the one question I really have is Josiah Holmes winning the game, carried the ball 2 times for almost 40 yards, and never got back in the game. What's up? This kid can fly, and he just don't get to play.
Yep. No, that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, it's been odd because Zaya's career has been a little odd at FSU. It always seems like when he's out there, he does produce. But we don't see him a whole lot. But I will say, look, between Gavin Sawchuk and Croma, I mean, these are 2 really good running backs. There's only so many. I mean, how many running backs do you want to put out there? I mean, he's obviously further down in the depth chart. He was given out a series. He did well. But, I mean, Croma did well when he was out there, and so did Sawchuk. So, I mean, if you put him out there more, you're taking carries away from them. I mean, it's a good problem to have. You have a lot of good running backs in the stable, and that's with Roydell Williams out. Also right now too, Steve, and Cam Davis was out too. So I mean, you got a lot of your running backs or even out. It's even deeper than that. But it was good to see because I get out there and make some nice runs. But yeah, unfortunately, he's a little buried on the depth chart.
Yeah, 2 carries, 32 yards, 16 each time. But this is one of those things like we were asked about Jalen Lucas a little bit ago. Like they got a lot of good players, and play for play, they did their job tonight. Situationally, they did not, and the defense more so cost you the game. Jake in Nashville. Welcome to the program. Go ahead.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Jake.
First-time caller, lifelong Noles fan. Tommy played pretty good tonight, but you can clearly tell he's just not 100%. And I had Norvell's back. I really did after last year. And I got to be honest, after watching tonight, I'm just tired of all the small ball, just all the no 5-stars on defense, no guys in the trenches. I mean, you look at Deuce, 5-star, baller, Usman Chroma, played a hell of a game. You just don't have guys other than that. And if you can't come into these games and expect to win when the players are just as good as they are on the other side. I mean, we're Florida State. We got to get back to where we were eventually. I believe in Norvell, but I mean, you got to show it at some point. Am I right? Thanks.
Yeah, that's a very good call, Jake. I appreciate that. Yeah, he's just looking for more star power, more prowess beyond just the transfer portal, but also the high school ranks. Florida State did a better job this go around, obviously. I think in this class, you got some freshmen who are impact players.
Desert twins, I mean, they look good out there. They're going to be something.
Boggs is going to be a player. McCoy's a young player, and he got out there, made a couple of big catches tonight, one of which moved the chains in a big situation, Louis McCoy. And then obviously, Chroma is something else. Now, I think they got to figure out what the rotation is going to be. Gus typically, Gene, this is probably a longer discussion for another day, but Gus typically finds a bell cow and uses them. But tonight, your carry distribution amongst the running backs was Sawchuk for 17, Chroma for 12. All right. And then beyond that, Castellanos obviously has 14. But it felt like Gavin wasn't used down the stretch. Like they just decided to turn the ball over to Chroma and things were going well enough that it was mostly 32 down the stretch of this game. I'll be interested to see.
It is interesting. Yeah. Well, what's the thinking behind that rotation? I do think, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, don't you think the long-term play is going to be Chroma? And maybe that's what they're doing here. As good as Sawchuk has been, I do think this eventually it's going to be Chroma's backfield.
They've given the ball to Chroma in a lot of big situations. I'm talking about drives in score situation in the game, and they'll start with 32 on the field. It tells you they have all the confidence in the world in this true freshman. But we appreciate that call, and we'll see. We'll see what Mike can do. Obviously, a big weekend next weekend for recruiting. Sign up at warchant.com for $1 for your first week of access. There may be something coming up next week. You never know. And it's Miami week. Something special might be happening on the site. But join us right now. $1 for your first week. You're going to get bonused a year's subscription to The Athletic. So if you want to round out your sports portfolio, here's what you get. $1 for your first week at warchant.com, the largest FSU fan community in the business. Access to all On3 message boards for all teams. So basically your college football need for news outside of Florida State taken care of. Then The Athletic gives you all the other professional sports and college sports coverage that you want, all for $1 for your first week. Give us a try. Let us earn your business. It's going to be a very busy week for Florida State on the recruiting trail at warchant.com. All right, last caller. He snuck in. It's Ralph in Hawaii. We got to let Spartan Noles in.
Ralph.
So, Ralph, welcome. What's your message? What's your wisdom you wish to share tonight?
Aloha, everyone. When we got the word that we were getting a new offensive defensive coordinator, we knew there were going to be growing pains. We got high on our own supply when we beat Alabama. We take care of 2 cupcakes. We played so well with our starters. We can get 90 guys into the game. Was that a good thing in hindsight? I don't know. I have 6 different text threads going at one time. I'm enjoying the hell out of this ride, the emotional swing, the up and down. This was a 2-10 team last year. Come on, folks. The sun will come up tomorrow, so get your butts to Doak and make it hard on Miami. Let's go, Warchant Ohana. Let's go.
Let's go, Ralph.
That. And look at that. He dropped his own call. He was like, I'm done. Mic drop. Thank you very much, Ralph. We appreciate the call.
Yep.
Brevity, power, and passion. Spartan 71 tonight. Very, very good effort.
We needed that. What a great way to end the callers tonight. Ralph always brings strong content to the channel. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you, Spartan 71. Now, rapid fire. We appreciate all of the contributions. Gene, there's still 26 of them. These people are so generous.
Wow.
IV4 says, UVA fan here. Go Who's. Hit you guy with a $2 donation. Appreciate you. That's in good spirits.
Yep. Should have gone for 2. You're right.
There you go. C. Plucker. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Evan Land says, what's up, Tom and Gene? Tom, was good running into you at Epcot on the bye week.
Oh.
I was feeling good. I was around Germany. I just left Space 220, and I met Evan over there between Norway and Germany. James Williams is straight trash. Oh, my. Okay. And I've watched him since week 1, and he's terrible. F Miami. Evan's got strong thoughts. It was a pleasure meeting you as well. Johnny Zeno's back. I have shoes older than UM's last championship. Thank you very much, Zeno, for the – that's 2 for 2 tonight for you. Never lose your nerve. James Williams, ain't it too soft and gets blown up. All right. Well, we'll see. A big week for James Williams. Big couple of weeks for James Williams coming up. Let's see. Next up, we've got Lord Bakington III. A great name. Who's better in the trenches, Miami, Florida State, or Virginia? We're going to get another data point next week, Lord Bakington. But unfortunately, that's a legitimate question for all three is a little bit of trouble. Garrett Taylor says the inability to tackle is unreal. Fair enough. We got the super sticker from Crispy. We already mentioned that. MJB back again? Good Lord.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we had all the chances to win and did not close it. Agreed. Also, he asks, I just joined Warchant and sent an email to your support. Can you respond and tell me how it works, please? We'll get right on that, MJB. For all of you just signed up for like 3 years worth of subscriptions with the donations tonight, so thank you very much. We appreciate your support. We'll get back to you. All righty. 15 more. Jared Thompson, last year's team, and everybody, you're so generous. Thank you. Last year's team would have walked over to the UVA sideline and said, can you at least lube us up? We got down 14-0. This team fought back against a good offense in a first road game. I genuinely think we'll be fine.
Wow.
Funny and perspective from Jared. Yes. Thank you, Jared. Matty Diaz says, fire Tony White. We're going to get blown out by Miami. I understand Alabama and UVA are different, but I'm sure if we did anything for the Bama game, we would have won. All righty. I don't know if that's sarcastic or not. Jared says, I blame Corey Clark. He wished it would be close, so we had to fight adversity. We weren't ready, and now we lost. When in doubt, blame Corey.
Well, now we know the key. It's Corey's fault.
That's right. When in doubt. NFL's Marty, NFL Noles fan, says they should have gone for 2 for the lead with 30 seconds to go in the game away from home.
Absolutely.
You're going to get a thumbs up from Gene on that one. Tony Greco, what up, Tony G, says the DL and James Williams is overmatched. I always hate to single a young man out, but he is a black hole. Boy, James Williams is catching it tonight, and people are paying to do it. iStream PS5, Ruben Bain Jr. will be introducing Castellanos to the Stars next week. Remember that. And remember to pay us $500 when you lose. Thank you, iStream. Appreciate that. Angela Perry, runner Angela. Lots to learn from this loss, but all is not lost. At home against Miami will feel different. So say we all.
Like it.
Hayden Guy. Best thing that could have happened to us, UVA offense healthy, will finish top 20. And I think, we hit on this, but and at any given Saturday, a home team can play out of their minds. We still have a real chance to beat Miami and win the ACC. 8 days of work.
Yep.
Absolutely, Hayden. Thank you very much. Pastor Nico, he's back. Defense let us down, yes, but what the heck was up with the offense coming out and being finesse rather than rushing it down DA's throat? Fair enough.
There was a little bit of that.
At times, they got lost in there. Tony Greco, why did we not use the middle of the field? We have 3 very good tight ends. That's now a thing. We're 4 games into the season, and the tight ends haven't been used much at all in this offense.
Well, they were used for a key touchdown at the end of the game.
That's true. Yeah. Well, and also a jump pass with one of them. Mark Perez says, from here on out, the D-line needs to be the twins, Wynn and McCray. Jackson and Williams are non-existent. Man, oh, man. D-line having a rough night in the chat.
I don't know if a single player has been called as much as James Williams on the show.
Persona non grata amongst the fan base. What sucks is now we have to win out to have a shot to make the postseason. One more loss, I think, takes us out, knowing a couple of teams in our conference got easy schedules. Mark, it's run the table time now for Florida
State. Look at Georgia Tech.
Yep, exactly. Georgia Tech's ACC schedule. Mickey Andrews, 2009 defense all over again. Matt is out on Tony White.
Oof.
Eric says, I'm a little ticked off, disappointed it's anybody else. Perfect trap game. And all great points, guys. Will say, keep in mind, next week is Miami's first road game, and at night, nonetheless, Doak will be rocking.
There's no doubt that Doak will be rocking, 100%.
That's going to be, if it's anything like the Alabama game, and I think it'll be better than the Alabama game, that's insanely loud, Gene. Like it against the other iterations of Doak, 83,000 strong, the erector set. That Alabama atmosphere played, and Miami's 7:30 atmosphere is going to be even more insane. I look forward to that. And finally, Yuckmouth, always, who usually closes out the program. Tonight sucked, but the season is not lost. We still got talent. This loss will keep us humble. Hopefully, it will help us grow up. get back to fundamentals, and lock in for every opponent. UM is beatable. Go Noles. And we will be back here next week on the Warchant Game Day Postgame Call-In show around 11 p.m., I would say, on a Saturday night.
Yeah, it can be the late one. Let's not do overtime again. Let's win this in regulation next week because it's going to be late nights, this extra bonus period. But yeah, Tom, I mean, I think some of the people have the right perspective. I know there's fire coaches or horrible, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, this is college football. You and I have been around the block a few times and see these crazy swings back and forth. You lose games you have no business losing, but then you bounce back. These kids are emotional. You bounce back. You're back at home. Like you said, it's going to be a fiery crowd. Miami, this is going to be their first test on the road. Maybe they shit the bed like Florida State did. You don't know. So, yeah, I'm very excited about next Saturday. And, again, I get it's a tall order, but it's definitely doable. You win that game, we're going to look back at this and go, well, that's a learning lesson, and the season's in front of you.
Weekday nights against ACC opponents. It just is annoying as hell.
There's another one coming, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. And NC State beat this team. So now you have to look at that game like, really? Okay, great. It felt like that was a battle of two teams on a lower tier, and now you got to revise it tonight because that defense just gave up a whole ton of points, a whole ton of yards, and situationally did not play very well. We wish everybody out there that we could have brought you a happier show, but to the 1,400 that are still watching on YouTube and the 7,000 across the multimedia platform, do us a favor, throw us a like, subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free, and we very much appreciate all of your support. We want to thank TSpark Enterprises, the builder of this here program for the second straight year. We want to thank Lucky Goat Coffee for being on board now with us, and we want to thank you for your support. If you just came to the chat or you just watched the program, no contributions necessary. Many generous folks out there, no contributions necessary. Thank you for elevating what we do at Warchant TV. Gene, any closing thoughts before I promo what's about to come up on Warchant?
Yeah, not much. I think we've pretty much said all. I was just say the defense was awful. Offense blew a few moments here and there. But I think this is a big learning experience for this team. And I think we're going to see win or lose. I think you're going to see a much more concerted effort, much more focused, tackles being wrapped up, which we like to see. Team being a little bit more focused next week against Miami. Can't wait.
Looking forward to that. The sting is going to linger for a day or two, but then it's going to be Miami weekend. We're all going to be locked in for that. So head over to warchant.com right now. Corey Clark's column is going to be up soon if it isn't already. Full coverage from the post game. If you're looking for explanations, you can go over and see what Mike Norvell had to say in his post-game press conference. If you're like Ryan from Santa Rosa, you're going to be counting your nose. But head over to warchant.com. The Warchant wrap will be up very soon. Both Corey and Ira are in Charlottesville. Aslan will be taping it from back here in Tallahassee. So that'll be up in just a little bit here on the channel. Head over to Warchant for $1 for your first week. Sign up today and subscribe to this channel. It's always free at Warchant TV. You can get bonuses for Premiere, but it's always going to be free. And hit the like button underneath the channel. All right. Promo Central complete for director Nick Carlisle behind the scenes. For Gene Williams, founder and administrator of Warchant.com. My name's Tom Lang. Let's get back on the winning train next week and have a big time on a Saturday night.
I got to break that bourbon out next week.
We're going to get stinking drunk if Florida State wins next week, and we're all going to do it together. Drunk on joy. If that's not your thing, we're going to have a great time. All right, everybody, stay tuned to Warchant for the best Florida State news in the business, and we'll talk to you next time right here on Warchant TV.